What's up, YouTube? Just making this video of my 2002 KLR 250. You know, when I was in the market to buy a dual sport, this was definitely one of my choices between the 250 and the 650. I wound up going with this one because it is much lighter than the KLR 650. And overall, the 250, it's been a great off-road dual sport bike for me. You know, I didn't find too much information about it online. Whenever I decided to make the purchase, I just kind of went with it and did it. But decided I'd post this up so maybe it'll help some of you guys out there who may be considering buying a KLR 250. As you can see, I've done some different modifications to this, and you know, I'll be going over some of those today for you guys. Whenever I first got it, I was having some trouble with the front brake. It just wasn't giving me that good of pressure or anything. So the first thing I did was I went ahead and took off my master cylinder there and rebuilt it. There's some O-rings and stuff inside. I went ahead and rebuilt that and put it back on there, bled the brakes, and I was still just having a really soft, mushy, spongy brake. So, you know, I decided that the next thing to do would be to go ahead and upgrade to a stainless steel brake line, which is right here. You can see it. That's actually a Galfer brand, G-A-L-F-E-R, Galfer stainless steel brake line. Does a good job. Comes all the way down to my front caliper down over there. I left the rubber on from the old brake line to kind of help protect it a little bit, but it goes right down there into our caliper. So once I put that on there, I was able to bleed the brakes out and to get some good pressure, and I've been pretty happy with that since I did that. Now, when I also got it, I noticed that, you know, the inside of the gas tank was a little bit, not rusty per se, but you could see that there was some surface rust. Well, I live in Florida, so it's really no surprise. You know, so I pulled it off, kind of rinsed it out with some gas and whatnot, and, you know, I noticed that my petcock on there was basically falling apart in a piece of crap. So I bought that petcock off of like eBay or something for like 15-16 bucks, and I've also put a fuel filter. I don't know how well you can see that or not, but it's right back there, and it helps keep any rust or anything from the gas tank from going into my carb and causing some problems. Now you can see right there, that's obviously the fill over bottle for your radiator. You know, if the fluid goes over, it catches right there. This is a liquid cooled bike. Your radiator's up underneath the cowlings right up there. So it does good as far as keeping cool down here in the hot south. Now the other thing which you've probably already noticed is, yeah, I took off those crappy short handlebars. I like to stand up when I'm off-road, and they were causing me to hunch over. So I got these Pro Taper ATV high bars. I think they're the ATV high bars. Pretty sure. And yeah, I've been really happy with them. I didn't have to adjust any of my cables or get any longer cables. The only one that kind of gives me some problems sometimes is my throttle cables if I crank it all the way to like the left or something. But overall, it's not that bad of a problem. And since I've kind of moved the handlebars a little bit forward and helped with the throttle cables getting caught up a little bit. But it works, there's no problems, not in my opinion anyways. Now I also got these cheap TMS bark busters or handlebar guards, whatever you want to call them. They were off of eBay for about $30 or so for the set. You know, these are definitely crucial to any off-road dual sport riding, because you will fall if you're actually doing some serious dual sporting like me and my friends do. It's only a matter of time, or you're going to catch a rut, or you're going to get, you know, top heavy and tilt over the wrong direction or whatever, or just being a dumbass and do something wrong and fall like I do all the time. But they'll keep your brake levers and your clutch levers and your handlebars all straight and secure. And for 30 bucks, you know, they beat the $100 expensive brand Acerbis or Acerbix, whatever they're called, I don't know. They do fine for me for $30 rather than like $100 or more dollars. Now I also had to replace the battery. You know, this is a kickstart. You can see just part of the battery right there. I chose a Motobat, M-O-T-T-O-B-A-T-T, I think it is. You know, it does a really great job. It has more cold cranking amps than a standard battery. And even though this is a kickstart, it doesn't really need a battery. to start or to run even. I just like to be able to have my headlights on and see when I'm in neutral and everything. So I replaced the battery and it's been doing great. Now back here, I decided to go ahead and get this this motorcycle rack, the rear rack. I think it's a Nomadic rack. You can see the logo is like NR or something like that. Nomadic rack. I think I got it off of eBay for like about 70 or 80 bucks or something like that. It does a pretty good job. I strap my backpack up on there and keep like my tool set and water and all types of, you know, extra things just in case shit happens out on the trail. I'll hopefully be able to get back home. I've also just got one of these like little cargo nets. You can get them like at Cycle Gear or anywhere, I'm sure, for like 10 or 20 bucks or something like that. Does a good job. You know, I ride hard. You can see my tail light's been busted. Just do a little bit of, what's that stuff called? I don't know, whatever this clear glue is. It comes in the tubes. I can't think of the name right now, but, you know, so rig it back together. It still works and does fine. I also, before I got the rack here, I dumped it pretty hard and busted out the tail light. A stock one was like $80 or $90, believe it or not. I wound up getting this one off of Amazon, I think, for like 15 or 20 bucks. It does a perfect job. The only thing is it doesn't fit in to the recess of the fender where the original one did. I had to drill 2 holes through the fender and mount it from the back. It mounts up fine. I decided to put some Gorilla Tape, even though it looks a little bit ghetto, but I put the Gorilla Tape around the edges just to keep water out from around the wires and everything. To me, it does a good job. I don't mind. Before I had the rack, you can actually see this big hole right there, really close to my muffler, which is missing the spark arrestor. Somebody lost that before I bought it. But I had a sleeping bag mounted up over here. This is before the rack, so it was really close to the fender, really close to the muffler. As I was coming back about 30 or 40 miles, of course, the sleeping bag got hot, melted down, dripped onto the fender, melted a hole in the rear fender. You can see a pretty decent hole. I don't really care, though. It looks kind of cool to me. Gives it some character. But, yeah, so if you don't have a rack, that's a good reason to get a rack, because you can catch your stuff on fire like I did. Thank God no flames were coming out while I was running down the road, but it probably could have happened. Who knows? Now, the other thing, you know, I put some wider foot pegs on there. I got those on eBay, I think, for like around, I don't know, $15 or so. Now, down here, that orange link that you can see, that's actually a set of Kubalinks, or Kubalinks, I don't know how you say it. But it lowered the bike for me. I'm only 5'8", so with it lowering the bike, it's made it much easier just to handle. It's made it easier to kickstart. You know, I've only got a kickstart on this bike, which is right here. So just being able to get more leverage on it, for me being a short person, it's made it much easier to kickstart, and I really like the outcome of that, of lowering it a little bit. Lose a little bit of ground clearance, but it's not a major deal. It makes it much more secure for a short person like me. I still have the original links if I ever want to swap them back, but that's what I decided to do for now. Now, one of the other things I did was back behind here is where your air filter is. I got a high-flow Filtro dual-stage air filter. A lot of people go with the unifilters. I just saw this one on Amazon or something, or eBay, and I thought it looked cool. It was green like my bike, so I was like, hey, why not give this one a try? It looks like it's just as good as the unifilter, and so far, it's been good. You know, other than that, I just kind of replaced the spark plug. Haven't had to take off the carburetor yet. Right back there. I might one day get the some jets to rejet it, make it a little bit, you know, better through the higher torque rev band and whatnot. So we'll see how that goes. Other than that, you know, I don't know if I've done anything besides what I've told you guys. Not that I can think of anyways. I might eventually one day get a bigger skid plate down there, because as you can see, these hoses are a little bit vulnerable if you were to, you know, take on like a rock or some brush or something right there. And those go up to your radiator, which is, you know, back right there. So you definitely wouldn't want to lose any of those hoses, because you would probably be stuck out in the woods or wherever for a long time. You know, I've also changed the oil numerous times, and the oil filter, which is right back here. You put your oil in right there, drain it from the bottom. But yeah, I've switched to full synthetic oil in this thing, and it's been, you know, I think that made it a little bit easier to kickstart as well, rather than some goopy old oil. But yeah, I've also ordered some tires from it. The tires that I'm running on here right now are the Pirelli MT21s. I got these, they came on the bike actually when I bought them. I bought this bike used with 1,800 miles off of Craigslist for $1,800, believe it or not. And overall, I've been really happy with it. I thought it was a good investment to have some fun on, and you know, I put a couple $100 worth of maintenance into it, and that's just what you got to do to keep them running and keep them working good. But here's another view, some more views of the Pirelli MT21 tires. These are 90% knobs, 10% street. Overall, though, I think they do a great job on the street. I've been blown away with how well they work on the street. I really like the rear tire. I think the rear tire is excellent. It's definitely my favorite of the two. You know, it's got a good tread pattern. My buddy's constantly saying how I'm throwing mud and rooster tailing and whatnot. It's a really good rear tire. I like it a lot. You can see though that they're kind of getting worn down after doing lots of street riding on them. I've actually ordered some new tires, some Michelin T63 for the rear, and a Shinko 244 Golden Boy for the front. I'm going to try those out and see how they perform. They're quite a bit cheaper than these tires that are currently on the bike, but they're also more street friendly a little bit, so hopefully I'll get some better mileage out of them. So far, like I said, you know, with those Pirelli MT21 tires, I've been really happy with them. They do great off-road. They do pretty good, I'd say actually really good on-road for being knobbies. And I bought the bike with them on. I had 1,800 miles, and so far, at this point, I've almost got 4,000 miles. I thought I was going to hit it today. I'm like 3 or however many miles short of hitting 4,000. But so I've put on 2,200 miles. 2,200 miles on this bike since I've had it, and on those Pirelli MT21s. Now, I constantly am hearing people say that, you know, you can only get 1,000 miles out of these 90% knobby, 10% street tires, you know, the DOT knobbies or whatever you want to call them. I think you can get more. Obviously, I have. My front one is definitely taking the brunt of the beating. So these two lugs right here, I don't know how well this is going to come up on the camera, but they are considerably small, really short, really worn down. Now what it does is it goes from those two to this big one, and then it drops down to two smaller ones. Maybe you can see it better in the light, I don't know. So short to a big one, to the short ones, to the big one. And you know, maybe it's just the wrong air pressure in these tires that I've been running at. Maybe it's running a lot on the street, but you know, the short ones have definitely gotten worn down big time, and it comes up to this next one that's really big. So when you're running down the road, it's a little bit of a vibrating or whatever. So yeah, I'm really interested to put on some brand new front tire and rear tire onto this bike to see how that changes. But overall, those tires have been awesome. I've gotten 2,200 miles out of them, and that's a job well done in my opinion, especially because I don't even know how long the guy before me had him on this bike. You know, he could have had him on there a couple hundred miles, or he could have had him on there 1,000 miles. So to think that I got 2,200 miles on them and they're still going, not the greatest per se, but they're still going, and who knows how many miles he put on them. So yeah, there you go. They can get more than 1,000 miles, so suck it, whoever says that they can't. And you know, unfortunately I wind up doing more street riding than I'd like to, but I live in Florida, so half the time I gotta drive a long distance to get to somewhere good to ride. That's just the way it goes. So that's why I'm going to get a little bit more street-friendly front tire. It still has some knobs to grab onto things, but it's not quite as knobby as this one. Alright guys, well I think that's about it. for my KLR 250. Again, this is a 2002 model. You know, if you're thinking about getting it, I'd say go for it. It's a pretty great bike. You know, the only thing that some people don't like is that it's only a kickstart. There's no electric start. But, you know, it's always gotten me there and back, and I can't really say anything bad about that. It's been affordable, done a good job. I've gotten up to a top speed of 85 miles per hour indicated on the speedometer. You know, I don't know how legit that is if I was being radar gunned by a cop or something, but I think it gets up there and it hooks it pretty good. If I rejet it in the future, I think it'll get there even faster and do it even better and smoother. So we'll see how that goes. Alright guys, well thanks for checking out my review of the KLR 250. If you get a chance to pick one up for a good price, I'd say go for it.